What's up, everybody? It's Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net, and welcome to part one of our 2021 Australian Open men's final analysis between Novak Djokovic and Daniil Medvedev. To find out how Djokovic beat Medvedev in straight sets, stay tuned because it's coming up next. All right, so how did Djokovic dismantle Medvedev in this match? Let's take a close look at the first set because the first set was the closest set in the match, and let's look at the points won by rally length numbers. All right, so if we look at the 1-4 shot points, 59% of the points played in the first set were 1-4 shots, which is pretty standard at this level. Sometimes we see the numbers are drastically lower, sometimes a little bit higher. 13 plus shot points, though, were actually 19% of all the points played in the first set, which is absolutely unheard of. There were a ton of long points in the first set. 5 to 8 shot points were 15% of the points that were played, and 9 to 12 shot points were 7% of the points that were played. So who won each of those shot length categories? Medvedev won 51% of the 1-4 shot points played, but he still couldn't win the first set. Of the 13 plus shot points that were played, Djokovic won 60% of those points, which was 6 out of 10. 5 to 8 shot points, Djokovic again wins here at 55%. And 9 to 12 shot points, Djokovic again wins with 80%. So we can see, right, that Djokovic took away Medvedev's biggest weapon in this match. He won the 9 to 12 shot points, and he won the 13 plus shot points. Out-rallying and outlasting people is usually one of Medvedev's biggest weapons, but Djokovic took it away from him right away in the first set, established that he was going to beat him in the longer points, and that Medvedev had nowhere else to go. That had a huge psychological impact in both the second and third set. If there's one thing we know about Djokovic, he's a highly effective returner. He got 46% of his returns deep in zone 3 against Medvedev's serve in this match. Medvedev is only able to get 27% of his returns deep in zone 3 against Djokovic. Let's look at some of these points now. All right, we have Medvedev serving here on the near side and Djokovic returning on the ad side on the far side. Let's break this point down real quick on the return. Medvedev cracks a huge serve, big flat serve here, out wide to Djokovic. And then Djokovic comes up with this excellent return deep in zone 3. But let's just go back for 1 second. Let's look at something here with Djokovic. This is something that Djokovic does that I don't know if anybody else in the world really does, but pay attention to Djokovic here on the far side and what he does on his split step. So he splits, and he actually splits to his right like he's going to go to a forehand, but then he goes back and then he retrieves the backhand, which is something you don't see anybody else do. He's cheating over to the forehand just in case it goes to that forehand side. So let's go back for a little bit here in slow motion. Watch the split. He splits to his right, and then he comes back, though, to his left. It's really interesting that he does that. Comes back, really short backswing, pops it into zone 3. Nice deep return right here, and immediately does damage to Medvedev, right? Gets him on his back foot and gets him reaching. Medvedev is very good from these reaching positions, but Djokovic, again, with the first serve return, deep in zone 3, he's already got control of the point and has done some damage to Medvedev. So let's see what Medvedev does here. Medvedev hits a small target, and if you haven't seen our videos before, small targets are 2 or less feet here from the single sideline. Those are the red areas. Anything in this area would be a big target, would be considered green, okay? Medvedev makes a huge mistake with his shot as well, and I'll talk to you about this real quick. Did a presentation yesterday and talked about this, but when you create angles like this and you hit the ball soft or weak, your recovery position on your side of the court ends up being much bigger, and you open up options for your opponent to do damage to you, hit a winner, take control of the point when you hit these weak, puffy balls out wide like this that are just kind of sitting up. So if you're going to hit wide to the court, you need to make sure that you do something with it and you don't just hit a weak shot to those positions in the court. So Djokovic drives this here. Medvedev here, a little squinched up with that contact point. Sometimes he does well with this, sometimes he doesn't. He gets Djokovic on the run. Djokovic plays some excellent defense here, comes over and is able to slice this, right? Sprints over. Medvedev with a little slice here. Djokovic with more depth. Djokovic small target, and finishes the point, right? So Djokovic is establishing and applying pressure early in the point, okay? And doing that with his return. His first strike is that return, its first opportunity to touch the ball. Comes here, immediately in zone 3, right? Owned him with his return depth 46% to 27%. And then that establishes the pressure during the rest of the point. Medvedev is constantly on defense. Djokovic can also play excellent defense, but then he's able to be more aggressive and eventually forces Medvedev here into that forced error, right? Let's move on to the next point now. All right, so we've got Medvedev here serving on the near side again. Djokovic returning this time on the deuce side. Let's take a look at this. This is a very quick and short point, right? So we just kind of let that play through, but let's look at that here real quick. You'll notice we just talked about Djokovic cheating on the return to his left when he's on the ad side towards the forehand. He doesn't seem to do that on the deuce side, but he's got those really quick hands, takes the return, and a highly effective return against a tall player is to go right up the middle deep and quick like this, right here, boom. The question is, you might ask yourself, well, why is that highly effective? Taller players have longer wingspans, right? So they need more space to hit their shots. Ideal contact is more on the side of your body and out in front of your body, okay? Here, it's not squinched up and jammed into your body. So what is he forcing 6'6" Medvedev to do? Get out of his own way as quickly as he can, and Medvedev, as quick as he is, he can't get out of the way, and then he ends up kind of flubbing this return and ends up getting into a position where he makes an error, right? So he gets jammed up on the return right here because Djokovic went right at him. Going right at a tall player right up the middle deep is highly effective because they can't get out of their own way, and then he ends up with that forced error right there. Let's just check out one more return point real quick. All right, so we'll look at the next return point now real quick. Djokovic here on the far side and Medvedev serving near us on the ad side here. So again, obvious kick serve, path of the racket here, the way it's traveling. We know it's a second serve and a kick serve there. Djokovic does a great job of getting inside the baseline, right, which helps him take time away from Medvedev. He's closing the distance between them, which means Medvedev has less time to react. Hits it deep again here in zone 3. 46% of his returns landed in zone 3, which is incredible, all right? All returns. Medvedev immediately on defense. And one of the beauties of this deep cross-court return from the ad side is if you're able to take your cross-court return on the ad side and go deep to zone 3 cross-court to their backhand, you get them damaged like this because you're already over on this side, right? It's a very easy play for you to play a forehand on your next shot if they go back cross-court here. So you don't have to do a lot of work. You can easily step around and look at Djokovic, boom, couple steps. Suddenly he's got a real easy forehand on the next shot because his return was so effective. His return deep in zone 3 sets up this forehand right here. Now we can tell he's going down the line inside in, but he could also obviously, if he wanted to, go back behind Medvedev here, but he chooses to go inside in, pounds it, and then Medvedev's forced into the air again. But how was that all set up? It was set up as a 1-2, okay? Because he starts inside the baseline, gets inside the baseline to take that return early, applies pressure just by hitting with good depth. It wasn't a small target. Deep in zone 3, because he's already over here, if Medvedev hits a weak cross-court ball, he can easily now take a forehand, and he does, and go back cross-court or down the line. So he set up a really easy and simple pattern with that effective return of serve. All right, so we're talking a lot about this first set, right? One thing that Djokovic did in the first set that was absolutely shocking that I've never seen before is he actually hit more balls down the line than he hit cross-court. So if we look at Djokovic's numbers for the first set, 37% of his shots went down the line, 33% went to the middle third of the court, and just 30% of his shots went cross-court. Absolutely unheard of. All right, so let's jump into some points now and look at how Djokovic used that down the line to keep Medvedev off balance. All right, so here we have the first point with Djokovic returning on the near side, Medvedev serving on the far side. Let's jump in. Medvedev with a pretty strong serve to the body. Djokovic does a good job of just kind of getting out of the way of this, right? Making some space for himself and takes it down the line right away. You can tell Medvedev's a little surprised by it and he's a little off balance, and Djokovic has done a little bit of damage here with this shot right off the bat, right? Medvedev cross, Djokovic here down the line. Let's go back for a second. Takes the next one down the line again. So we've already got 2 down the line balls here. And this one lands deep in zone 3, which is going to be tough for Medvedev to handle. Does a pretty good job with it by creating some pace there and really hitting it hard. Djokovic again though, right? Over and over again here. Down the line. Low percentage. Down the line comfortably, gets Medvedev on defense again. And if you're Medvedev on the other side of the net, you got to kind of be wondering, why is he hitting the ball down the line so much, right? Another down the line ball. And as soon as he hits down the line here again, he does some damage, consistently keeping Medvedev off balance by not hitting cross court in the first set. Medvedev hits a good ball. Djokovic goes cross there. But again, strong down the line. And if you notice with Djokovic's down the line balls too, right? A lot of them had some pretty good pace on them and they were doing damage. So every time he was going down the line here, he was hurting and damaging Medvedev and putting him in tough positions over and over again. Another ball down the line. And then finally hits the cross-court small target to win the point and force the error, right? But again, established down the line as a consistent pattern in the first set. And what did that do to Medvedev as a mover? It kept him off balance, right? He's not expecting Djokovic to hit more balls down the line than he is cross-court. It's just, if you're a great mover, that's going to throw you off. It's going to keep you off balance. You don't know where the ball's going to go. So, all right, here we have Djokovic on the near side returning and Medvedev on that far side serving. So let's see what we get here. Second serve again. This time, Djokovic goes down the line, per se, right? It's a straight line shot, but it kind of travels more towards the middle here. And he pushes Medvedev back with that return depth. We talked about that earlier and showed that. There's another technically down the line ball here, right? And this one, again, super deep, a little more towards the middle. But again, down the line and strong when he was going down the line. He didn't hit down the line balls weak in this match very often. Cross here. Medvedev cross, Djokovic down the line again, and when he takes it down the line, he takes it down the line with some pace and strong, okay? Cross here, down the line again, and this one does big significant damage. So we got significant damage here because he's making Medvedev run from one side of the court to the other. That's one thing people don't understand sometimes about going down the line. When you hit down the line like this, obviously, you want to hit deep if you can, but you don't have to hit deep if you use good pace because your opponent's typically having to come from one side of the court to the other, and it can still cause significant damage by going down the line and hitting it a little shorter like this in zone 2, okay? It doesn't have to be deep. Deep is good, but it doesn't have to be deep to do damage. So he gets him right there, sets up the weak ball, and then we get the winner at the end, right? And again, the winner, the aggressive shot, the really aggressive one, is hit down the line. So again, when he's taking that ball down the line, he's making a very clear decision to do it in a very aggressive way. He's not hitting a lot of neutral balls or soft balls that Medvedev could take advantage of. He was hitting them very aggressively with a lot of pace. All right, so that wraps it up for part 1 of our match analysis of Novak Djokovic versus Daniil Medvedev from the 2021 Australian Open final. If you found this video helpful or you learned something today, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. I'm Jason Frausto for TennisUnleashed.net. We'll see you next time.